Also yay for having the ability to guard, heal, or repel darkness on New Game Plus onward, like at where I was.
I also really like the fact that light and dark skills aren't exclusively insta-kill in this game.
I know,
having Iha and Koga.
Yeah, Koga and Iha.
Yeah.
Okay, having those two really increased their usefulness. I do feel like SMT4 Apocalypse did that a bit better, in which it was essentially damage with a chance
of insta-kill, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there was like, if you smirked in Apocalypse, then it was insta-kill. And I really loved that. And that was the only, like, Apocalypse and Persona 5 were the only two as, like, Atlas games where I've actually had light and dark skills on, because I've actually felt they were useful. Persona 3 and 4, there's too many enemies that resist or are flat out null to light and dark.
Or
that
you're
I don't...
in like a certain dungeon.
Or
which
that
is like
too.
Everything's either one or the other, and you can just use it to flank through them easy.
Like I've had Ken in my party the entire horror dungeon.
Yeah, and Persona Q, that was probably the only other time I saw used for like light users was the haunted spirit dungeon.
Which fuck that dungeon.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Onwards,
that's an entirely different video.
We go on to the whole Futaba scenario, and this is where the game actually shifts gears, and this is also where it kind of made sense for Atlas USA's like language, because when the game came out over here, they're just like, okay, when June I think it was like 26 or something like comes up, you can't stream or record anything on YouTube, Twitch, any of that stuff. And then, like, fan outcry made them push it back to around the end of the game. But when I finally got to that date, I was just like, okay, game, surprise me. Yes, it did. Because unlike, like, your previous scenarios, is like, Sai Nijima isn't just saying, yeah, this dude was lusting over students. This dude was stealing art from people. This dude was a mafia boss. Instead, they were just like...
Suicidal!
It's like, this one's just like, hey... So there was this, like, hacker group that was going after you guys. We don't know anything about that. Please elaborate. And it was like, oh, we're actually figuring out new stuff. Like, this isn't just the game telling us, like, before we even meet the character. Like, that's great. I like that.
And then you find out the person you are going through the dungeon of is actually a good guy.
Yes.
And a suicidal one, which is, oh my god.
Yes.
The suicidal part wasn't the real shocker. The closest to the real shocker, not that it's really shocking to begin with, is the fact that it's more of a play on how Persona 4 had the whole shadows are the repressed selves. In this case,
too. Like I get to the dungeon, I see everything. Oh my god, they're calling back! Awesome.
And instead of this, this is the repressed parts of their personality. The good qualities.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Yeah, it was...
Also, speaking of that, one thing we didn't really touch on, but I do like, is how, the shadows are the repressed, like, over-exaggerated versions. So yeah, Kaneshiro, like, say, Kamoshida, he's a very perverted asshole of a guy in the dungeon. In real life, he doesn't really show it to anyone who he likes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's more of that's a different thing to go on with.
I know, I'm just saying, I like that detail.
Yeah, we are 2 hours in.
I do like the whole fact that, like, they're more exaggerated versions from where they are in real life. Because it adds that more fun factor to the game. That if Persona 5 was missing that, then I feel like this would be a very depressing, dark game with, like, no breakthrough every now and again. Besides just, like, hanging out with friends, and even then that would, like, have such a, like, damper mood on it. But yeah, the whole thing with Futaba and Wakaba, like, having that whole thing, like, being, like, told over a course of a few days, like, actually, like, a week or so. You don't even really go into the dungeon for, like, a week, but you get contacted by the person who you're supposed to be, like, infiltrating, like, way before you even, like, take the necessary steps to even figure out, like, what's their keywords? How do we even get into their dungeon? What is their dungeon? Oh, it's in the middle of the desert? Cool.
Yeah, which I did like. That was another thing I really liked. It's just like, you're right outside the door, and suddenly you're miles away.
And suddenly you're miles away, need to take the cat bus. But yeah, like Sojiro saying like, oh, no, you know, Futaba's kind of real upset after her mother was quote unquote killed. But everybody initially thought it was just that she had a heart attack, but then you realized it was part of the mental shutdown case.
Yep.
Which, I know I'm going ahead a bit, but is this implying that, like, the person who caused the mental shutdowns went after Wakaba?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, recall that Shido stole the research.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure, so it's just like, so was there like somebody else, or was it only him? It was okay. But yeah, Futaba's dungeon was pretty unique, all things considered. Almost all the dungeons were pretty unique.
Yeah, I did not expect to go to some sideline town next to the tomb.
Before even going into the pyramid, really.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that, like, you go into the pyramid, get chased down the hill, like Indiana Jones style, and end up in the bottom of it. Then you work your way around to the door, like, that's outside to the right. Like, there's so much stuff you do before you actually go up the main stairs.
But the whole dungeon is trying to find a way to get up the main stairs.
Yeah, and then the way how you have to, like, piece together the fragments of Futaba's past in order to, like, send a light through. That's so great. I love that. God, and Persona 4 was remade with like the design mentality of Persona 5. God, there would have been a lot of amazing dungeons in that game.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, then there was the plot twist. Futaba's not the boss. Wakaba is. And she's on the head of a giant sphinx. And
that fight took me a few tries.
Which, I love the fact that, like, before this, like, Futaba is just messaging Akira because she's, you know, she's a hacker and everything.
Yeah.
And she's just like, hey, well, she doesn't necessarily start out as saying that she's Futaba. But she's like, oh, I'm Alibaba. Let's go by that. Then it's just like, have we ever found out anything about this? Yusuke looks up like an Egyptian like history book.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
And finds out about this like this god called Alibaba. That's like, oh, they were in Egypt and they were flying by and all these sorts of things. And like everybody in the chat's like, Yusuke, dude. Ryuji's like, stop, dude, stop. He
Ron
keeps going.
Alibaba.
He keeps going, and then you go to the boss fight, and that's actually Alibaba.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I love it when games foreshadow in that way.
Yeah. Then this is where the game really shifts gears because Kaneshiro, all things considered, was filler.
Yeah.
Like, didn't add anything besides the fact that you get Makoto for it. Futaba onwards is where the game really starts picking up.
Yeah.
And
he took down a hacker group. The bad guys try to spin that around.
Yeah. Oh god, dude, the fact that I did not even see it coming. I was just like, oh, so Medjed wasn't even a real thing. That was just something that played into the whole villain's like plan. That's so good.
Yeah. Like Medjed was basically just helps motivate the bad guys.
Yeah, just their failsafe to help keep like the momentum of the Phantom Thieves going higher and higher into the public eye. Then comes Okumura, where it all starts crashing down.
That one threw me for a loop.
Uh-huh. So this one starts out with you.
The plot
Sorry.
Nothing.
This one starts out with Futaba being seen as pretty good, much like how in Persona 4 and 3, when you finally get your navigator character, you're just like, oh, thank you. You might not fight, but you're very important.
Especially as you up her confidant.
Since one of Morgana's flaws is that he has a superiority complex, hearing all that like praise go from him to somebody else kind of messed with him. And it didn't also help with the fact that Ryuji, for whatever reason, kept calling Morgana useless. Which is the one part I hate about that game, is that like that felt really on the nose and too ham-fisted. and like not natural whatsoever.
It felt very forced, and the main problem was that how forcibly they tried to push it into Morgana. How forcibly they tried to make it look like Ryuji was the guilty party. Yes, we knew. It was obvious that Morgana, the problem was in the fact that I had Ryuji in my party the whole time.
Yeah.
Every second line that Morgana has involving Ryuji calls him useless.
Yeah.
You
or
missed.
just makes fun of him, period.
Yeah.
You missed. Oh, you're so useless, Skull. You gets hit by weakness. Oh, you're useless, Skull. You successfully win a battle. Oh, you're not so useless after all. Useless.
But yeah, Okumura starts off with the whole thing with Morgana Ryuji, cultivating and Morgana just running off on his own and saying, I can do this by myself. Even though, no, you can't.
You're more of a healer than a battler.
No,
Morgana,
you can't.
just saying. Like, Morgana, you're useful, but more as support more often than not.
Yeah, but once again, like a lot of things in this game, again, by complete chance, Morgana runs by Haru in the middle of the night. And Haru, instead of just walking on thinking that it's just any normal cat, decides to go back and see where the cat is going, sees that it's going to her dad's place, ends up getting into the metaverse when Morgana goes in.
Somehow. Stuff. I don't.
The same.
It's just.
I took it the same way as how Akira and Ryuji were going into the metaverse, and then An was like around the corner and ended up getting slipped in as well.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted that. But yeah, there is kind of just like the how did that happen? But then they have their pity party, and then you guys chase them for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Then you guys all kiss and make up. Then you guys actually go and go through Okumura foods.
And despite her not having her persona fully active yet, she's still in her thief getup.
Yeah.
Persona full. That doesn't make sense either.
Just like, I awakened to my persona, but it's still at level 1. Give it a few seconds, though.
Like, that doesn't make sense. Why?
Because if a persona awakening happened off screen, the fans would have cried out for it.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like, and then they need to have it happen later anyway.
I think that was basically her just reaffirming or something.
Yeah, I guess. Because, like, I love Haru, but I then stop and go, Haru's not really a fleshed out character, and the only real 2 reasons I like her is because she's adorable. Like, she's bubbly and cute, and I like her because she's, like, so upbeat. But the second thing is because she has that, like, that innate sense of right that everybody else has. But everybody else also has that innate sense of right, so other than that, the only thing Haru has going for her is that she's bubbly.
Yeah.
And that, like, again, I'm really bummed out about that. Especially when we get to the next thing, because then we bring up the knife party member, who has more development than Haru.
Also, very quickly finishing up the whole Okumura Foods thing. What happens at the end of that?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, sorry. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okumura gets assassinated. Of course, the one time everybody doesn't stop to see Okumura turn into light, he gets shot.
That felt so weird. Like the fact that the party didn't do that. And immediately after they fell for a very obvious trap.
Yeah, there's several things that are up with that scene. One is that they didn't stay to watch him turn into light. Second is that they didn't hear the gunshot, even though they didn't really like go far enough so that they would be out of earshot of something like that. And then there's the whole thing of like Haru basically buying out Disneyland for a night. And then having so that everybody like hangs out, eats food, wears the stupid goofy like ears.
Cue the mood whiplash.
Cue the mood whiplash of everybody watching a stream on Niku Niku Doga of everything seemingly going fine, but then the mental shutdown happens and God, like.
Oh my God! Yeah, seeing one of those up close. Yeesh.
Good lord, that was brutal.
Yeah. Just like blood leaking out of people is like pretty gross. Black blood or ooze of any sort leaking out of people is like, ugh. But it's because of this whole thing that eventually leads to everybody chasing after any lead they can get to and basically cursing at themselves for falling for a trick. Which leads to the Phantom Detective, Goro Akechi.
My favorite character in this game.
See, this is the point where the game does something that I'm not sure if I'm okay with, where they cut scenes short and also just cut out the audio to certain other scenes that appear. Just so that, like, when you go back into the present where you're being interrogated by Sao Nijima, that you can have...
Yeah, the game did kind of start in media res. We never did mention that.
Yeah, you can sort of have you can have that revelation of just like, oh, that's what they were saying, that's what they were doing, oh my god! You know, that type of thing, but just like, I'm not entirely sure of how I feel about that.
I don't like it because it's such an obvious twist.
It's like, oh, what?
Everything
The police detective that ended up blowing his cover like earlier in the year is actually the traitor. Who could have guessed?
Not only is it that police detective, but it is the character on the box art who is in one trailer out of all of them, and it's only 25% of him for about 16 frames.
Doesn't even have a character video or voice actor interview like everybody else that Atlas USA brought up. And pretty much every single time Atlas has ever had a press release over here, they say, don't talk about the last party member.
Almost specifically, when going on about spoilers, please don't talk about the student investigator.
So yeah.
So one of these party members is a traitor. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we already know it's not going to be one of the girls because waifu mechanics. Ryuji is far too close. Ryuji is just too loyal and wouldn't have any possible motives to
do
be
it.
A traitor.
Morgana's with you literally every day and every waking moment of your life.
Yeah.
And Yusuke also joins under a very personal reason.
And while you don't see Yusuke as much, once again with Ryuji, he wouldn't really have any motivation to do it.
Yeah.
So these facts combined with so it only takes you until that point. Like, it's obvious from the moment they say there's a traitor.
One thing I do like though is that they make it known that the party is not full of idiots.
Yeah,
yes, but what would have been better is if they didn't try to obscure it and just went, yeah, he's up to something.
Yeah, he's up to something. Also, like, no one here believes him for a second.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, the blankouts are more so that the main character was having some slight memory loss from the drugs and remembered at the last second that there was a plan in the first place.
Yeah, and like I get
that felt stupid.
I get that, but it's like
it felt like they were trying to make this a big plot twist as opposed to just natural progression. Natural progression would have made the reveal feel a lot better because you already knew it. And it's like, it's almost like a reverse reveal. It's like, I was the traitor. We already knew that.
Adachi being the murderer was a bigger plot twist because of how they set him up so that you could possibly believe him. And then how the events of the game go, you honestly believe that it's Namatame, especially since he ends up taking Nanako.
And the best part is, in the initial scenario of the game, it was Dojima that was actually the culprit, and they didn't actually make it Adachi until after the game had been almost finished and was running through beta testing. So it's
I don't know how I would feel about Dojima being the culprit, not gonna lie. That's just a what?
Yeah.
Yeah, they that was why it was switched from Dojima, because players felt there wasn't anywhere near enough foreshadowing, and felt it was kind of unsettling.
When I was first watching Super Genius's Let's Play, which is how I got into Persona in the first place, he gets to the point where your character is trying to decide who it could possibly be, and my mind going through the options is like, oh no.
No, Dojima would not have made sense considering the amount of foreshadowing.
No, I'm saying when I saw me thinking, no, they don't work. He's the only one who works. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was good because it had a limited cast. In this case,
because what Jake did with his Let's Play was he put in annotation for each option, so the viewers got to pick their own ending essentially.
Yeah, that's cool. Probably took a long time to do though. But,
oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like Adachi, I feel was done better as a twist. Goro.
This isn't a twist.
Goro, unfortunately, even with me going into it knowing that he's the one that ends up killing you in all the bad endings, made me just seeing how the game handled it. Even not even taking in outside things of just Atlas USA not paying attention to him or saying don't speak his name. The game itself gives you too big of a hint early on.
Because also, there's no one else for it to be.
That too, because
it's not only this process of elimination, it's just that no one else gets involved in the main story. No one else is given screen time as a recurring adult. I mean, we've got Sojiro. Well, he's not a party member. They kind of revealed that it was a party member that sold you out. So it's just far too obvious. And
also, all his confidant abilities being hidden.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and all showing up at the same time. And then you take that into account. You combine that with, well, there are no other characters. You couldn't even logically say it was Mishima. Well, there's no reason. He didn't get screen time.
He's not a Persona user. He doesn't even know what the metaverse even is, I'm sure.
Because no one thought to actually get him involved, even though he's supposed to be running a fan site. We're doing some very critical work for you, giving you requests for you to actually do.
There's a section of the Persona 5 script that I feel got lost in translation or something. And then just Atlas Japan was just well, crap. Well, let's just make whatever we have here. We've already waited too long to make this game as it is. Because the ending feels rushed. And this isn't even talking about the final dungeon rush. Just from this point onwards, things don't have enough setup to them, or they're too obvious to the point where it's just okay, what happened to all the subtlety and the quiet moments and everything that happened with the first 4 to 5 dungeons?
And here's where everything kind of falls apart.
We're here with Nichima's dungeon, and then we go onwards, and things just get stupid. Honestly, they get stupid.
Yeah, we get some real pacing issues.
But
First thing part is when we finally get our reveal. We get our reveal that Goro's the traitor. Okay, we move along. We catch up to our in medias res that happened at the beginning that was just kind of really dumb.
We don't sell out our team. Sai believes us.
So for some reason, we find out
she ends up taking the phone, tricking Goro, and through some elaborate bullcrap, Goro ends up killing a that was way too close. Goro ends up killing a cognitive version of Akira, and not actually Akira. Which
can I just say, when I first saw that plan, I thought it was actually really cool.
When I first heard the term "killing the cognitive version of Akira," I go, "But wouldn't that just kill Akira?" But then it's just like, no. It's just that we got like the cognitive version that was in Nichima's like cognitive world, in which I go, okay, what? No, what? No, shut up. What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
What I like to think of it as is basically since she was there talking with the real one when she basically got when she and Goro got transferred to the metaverse temporarily. It was basically because of like, okay, she thinks he's still there and now they're in the metaverse, so the mental version of him is there.
But that's still like so like
convoluted.
That plan.
It's so convoluted, and it's not. It's not a good plan.
Well, they straight up admitted they had to be risky.
Is that what I say? There was
Yeah,
so much of that plan that
there
could
wasn't
go
much else
wrong.
they could do.
Yeah, there's a difference between not much else they could do and being kind of having a plan written that has several major problems. And flawed, and it's just kind of like...
Flawed.
Yeah. It's too flawed.
But after all that hoo-ha,
we move on to one of the next dungeon. Very long. Fun on the first time.
everybody thinks that Akira's dead and the Phantom Thieves are no more. But then Akira goes into hiding with his nice hoodie, which I was sad that wasn't actually a costume that you can wear in the metaverse.
Same.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually, through another just instance of, hey, everybody's talking, we're doing stuff, political stuff is happening outside. Sorry. Okay, Ryuji's going to the political stuff. Okay, also Akira's going because he recognizes the voice. What's going on exactly? What's going on is that Shido, who's running for Prime Minister, was the person that Akira met all that time ago that ended up getting him on probation. And you actually meet Shido after you do your first heist and you beat Kamoshida and you sell the medal and you go have a fancy dinner at this hotel. You see Shido and his entourage of 2 people, and Akira's just like, I recognize that voice.
But I can't quite tell what from.
See now.
Yeah, see, the problem with this is the fact that he has a very nice, unique model, but that's not the kicker. The kicker is the fact that they bring attention to him every now and then with this very distinct sprite, which shows up, which makes it for the game, for the player. That's him.
That's the guy.
That's the guy.
They also go with like, that voice sounds familiar, quick like few frame flashes kind of thing.
A frame of him holding his head going, dang brat, I'll sue! Like,
damn brat, stop bullshitting me!
Like, the first time I could believe that Akira would not be, like, too quick to go, is that the guy? Is it because Akira probably has it in his mind, okay, maybe I'm just like thinking about him too much that I'm just hearing his voice into somebody else. I shouldn't like cause a scene here. But when he's at LeBlanc and Shido comes on talking about how this country's going to heck and he's going to fix it, and he has another flashback, it's just like, what's that voice? Akira, you're not stupid. That's my main issue, is that you're not stupid. You've come up and remembered multiple things that many people would forget. Not to the level of you remembering a gas station attendant that he met once, but
with no foreshadowing.
But the fact that it takes so long for it to click for Akira bothers me, because as the player, we know that's Shido from day one. Like, we know it from the first moment we hear him, and see the fact that not only is he getting a flashback from Akira, but he also has his own art. Unless the character is actually important, nobody does not have their own art.
Like, even the gas station attendant didn't have art. And that was terribly played.
Well, technically they do get art, but only when you're actually confronting them about it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
only at the end of the game. But like again, that part of the game kind of bothers me. But yeah, as Jacob say, we go onwards after seeing that whole thing, and go on to the arc which is a dungeon that I played through and I thought was pretty cool the first time, but through my second playthrough, I went, oh god, okay, yeah.
It's cool the first time, but then you have to replay it. And
then you have to replay it, and then you realize how long and tedious it is.
Yeah. Like, I do like what they were going for, just on repeat playthroughs.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that, like, once you go through, like, the 5 main people, you go to the real, you get, like, a little cutscene in the real world. It's like Shido talking to Goro, or, like, Shido doing something menacing that makes you go, oh man, I hate this guy. But at the same time, I just, like, I understand that, like, dude keeps people close. And once their usefulness has been, like, dealt with, he gets rid of them. Like, he got rid of the principal and the SIU director.
Ha!
Which, we never brought him up, but the dude, like, they show for, like, the second cutscene he appears in that he's in league with, like, some sort of conspiracy.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
good job,
I was
Gabe.
honestly-
It's in medias res. Let me recall a scene that I did not know about.
Honestly, now that I think about it, Akira never actually met the SIU director.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like,
So,
okay,
A, how does he know that happened? And B, how does he know what the SIU director would look like?
Yeah, so like, for me, it's just like, okay, so this is a guy, okay, he's evil, when are we going to fight his shadow? Never mind.
So that now we've done the part of the Shido's dungeon. And we enter one of the best boss fights in the game and one of the best characters.
But by the way,
Here's a
can I
few
just
problems.
say something? Like,
Yes?
for after you fight the mafia guy in that dungeon, just like, if you're not me and actually use go homes instead of just going to a safe room to travel back,
Yeah.
you might have noticed that the go homes aren't working.
They don't work because of plot reasons. What are the plot reasons? Goro shows up for his second encounter.
Why did we not get a save point before this?
Because
That means
Atlas.
I
Because
But that
Atlas is
means-
super hard.
That means I have to fight a mini boss, another mini boss every time I want to fight Goro.
Yeah.
So here are the problems with that fight.
At least.
It's a great fight. It's great. However, here are your problems because I'm gonna slam them down right for you. Firstly, the lovely thing about Goro is he is a boss fight and an antagonist that really depends on knowing certain Japanese, what's the word, customs?
Yeah.
Not customs, viewpoints.
Yeah.
The way so much of his motivation and reason for doing various actions makes sense from a Japanese perspective.
Yep.
However, they didn't translate this in any way to the English release. It was a direct translation, which leads to many people going, "Great, it's a guy with daddy issues."
It's a kid. It's a crappy kid with daddy issues. Okay. Who cares? Well,
Which,
like,
yes, okay, and from an English viewpoint, it is. From a Japanese perspective, it isn't. That's the problem. Then we need to then we need to get this guy out of the way because we haven't really worked the plot of what we're gonna do once we've removed Goro. We don't really even know how to remove Goro because, okay, what are we gonna do? Okay, so Shido's cognitive version will show up, and then they'll hold each other at gunpoint, and the Phantom Thieves will stand there and do nothing,
yeah.
despite all having firearms.
Didn't Cognitive Akechi also summon a crap ton of shadows?
Like 2.
2
Oh.
against
Yeah.
9 people.
And so then we have the obligatory. He does a heroic sacrifice and
Max out
dies
the
inverted
confidant.
combat.
That's still that like there's 2 moments in this game that had the worst timing ever. It's goddamn that, and
the one beforehand. I hate you. I feel like he understands me.
yeah, it's just like
Rank up.
it's like Goro revealed his plans to me. He really trusts me. Rank 7. They really play fast and loose with the social link stuff this time around. Like Nijima,
at least for the plot stuff.
Nijima goes from like rank 5 to rank 10 just because she trusts you, and actually like, just like a simple conversation after a prosecution statement caused that big of a leap in friendship somehow.
Yeah, when I was reading TV Tropes, they actually listed how fast you rank up Sae's confidant as a awesome moment for Akira in universe.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, once we've done this, once you have
the ambiguity, which pretty much just says Akira and Goro are gonna have some sort of thing once Persona 5 Arena Ultimax comes out.
We've also got the slight problem, which I'm going to bring up again, to the fact that he has the mini-boss theme
instead of the actual like theme that would fit more, which ends up being used for Shido.
And the other late game boss.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense, that last one. Really makes no sense.
Considering that last boss actually gains an actual battle theme afterwards, yeah, like...
Once it evolves.
I understand, but also just like... You're gonna use the mid-boss theme for Goro, but not this. All right.
And so we move on to So we move on to confronting the final boss of the Palace Conspiracy, in which we carry and use the calling card for Shido, which is a really big video that Futaba somehow hacks onto everything. We're gonna let that slide
because she's the best hacker.
We're gonna let that slide because waifu hackers, and then we move on to
that entire anime cutscene was awesome.
It's really awesome, and then you look at it, and some things just kind of start to slowly fall apart. Firstly, they zoom in on text. They emphasize Japanese text, and then go, "What's going on?" and react to it. And
but there's no subtitles, so we don't know what that text says.
And
unless
really
you actually read Japanese, which a majority of Americans don't.
Yeah, but then we move on to Shadow's point, which Shadow noticed, and I'm just going to read explicitly what he said. Or I'm going to read this conversation. So Jacob, what are your thoughts on the calling card to Shido, and how much/little sense it made? I think it does, and my response was just, I think it doesn't match up with the others, but it was really super cool. His response, it was awesome, but it doesn't work, because cameras don't work in mementos. We've got evidence of this in the game from when Ryuji tries to take photos of the gym guys, the cognitive gym guys.
Oh yeah.
And then, like, most people would go, but then, well, maybe they just did it outside of Mementos or a palace or the metaverse.
They're in Mementos because Morgana isn't just a normal cat.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense. If Morgana wasn't shown, it could be hand-wide. They just made the costumes. But Morgana is there in Mementos form. Which kind of means that here's a really cool and dramatic moment undercut by the fact that it couldn't physically happen.
I honestly never noticed that.
I feel like in the first trailer they showed Akira, Morgana, An, and Ryuji at LeBlanc, like planning their strategy for Kamoshida's dungeon.
Yeah, Morgana was in
mode. And he was in his like phantom mode. So I feel like that cutscene was made before the change occurred, where Morgana just became a normal cat.
Yeah.
And they either forgot about it or just didn't think to change it after they had changed.
They kind of shot themselves in the foot there.
They did change gears in production, but yeah, that's something that Shadow brought to our attention. And I went back to the scene and went, "Oh God, yeah, no, Morgana's right there in his Phantom Thief mode. That can't happen. That can't happen in this world." Which
kind of kills it also because Morgana is talking too.
Does that also just mean that for a fraction
of...
Does that mean
half that scene with people going, meow, 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 meow? What? I'm sorry, that scene has now lost most of its amazing impact because
Oh my god, how did I never notice this stuff?
We're so sorry, everybody, who we've ruined that scene for.
Including me.
just like the people at like the FCC just going, what in God's name? Okay, they were talking and now there's a cat meowing.
Meow.
Maybe
We're gonna
they
show you what we're
hand-waved that-
truly made of.
I mean, maybe they hand-waved that with it being Mementos Morgana. I don't know.
But then
They
how would
can't do that because the camera doesn't work.
I
the
know.
not only does the camera don't work, but it was stated multiple times throughout the game. In fact, this is the only reason why Goro gets like outed out is that normal people can't hear Morgana.
Well, when he's in cat forms, but if he was in Mementos, again, yeah, like you guys said.
But then what would that? But then that would mean that like everybody in Tokyo, no, everybody in Japan right now is in the metaverse.
I don't know. Like
that doesn't happen until the end, and that explicitly is stated.
It's stated and it's
that's
shown.
where everything falls apart even harder. Thanks, pacing.
But yeah, after that, Shido is just like, oh, well then, he's still here. Guess I just had to get rid of a few cockroaches then. Then the awesome boss fight happens. Rivers in a desert plays. Shido goes through like
5 phases of pure awesome.
Shido goes through like 3 different forms, including a form that is just Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Well, no, it's like you've got the lion form, the Pegasus lion form, the pyramid form, him with the power limiter, and him without the power limiter.
5 forms, okay, but yeah, it's a long fight.
And they actually put and Jacob's gone.
Yeah.
They actually put a checkpoint between him riding the lion thing and him by himself.
I didn't know
I
that
know
because
this.
I didn't die.
I know this from experience because he kept using this motherfucking hit everybody with almighty attack that I kept dying to.
Yeah, okay. But that fight lasts a long time, and that Rivers in the Desert theme makes you really feel like this is the true final boss battle. But then, of course, this is a Persona game.
Then you remember this is that.
This is a Persona game after all, so vengeful alternate beings mode initiated. After a scene that's amazing of Shido trying to ingest poison to temporarily kill himself so that the people inside his cognitive world would just die out. Then there's the whole thing of like Ryuji having that awesome scene where he runs across like sinking bits of ship in order to like get a lifeboat for everybody while everything's exploding. All that sort of thing happens. Everybody thinks, it's all over.
Boom.
Then everybody's just like, hey, what exactly do you think like Mementos is like fully open now that we've dealt with Shido? It's like, well, let's see. They go all the way down to Mementos, and there's this big door, and it just opens now.
Yay! Quite convenient at its finest.
And through a very meticulous and sort of tedious array of puzzles, stopping the puzzles to get some plot in, then more puzzles, and a 3-minute theme that was your bad ending theme, just repeating in the background. The final part of Mementos is not necessarily that fun of a last dungeon.
No, it really isn't.
And
wait, they use the bad end for the final dungeon?
Yeah, the bad ending music that plays whenever you like sell out your friends or do another thing that happens after you get to the end of Mementos.
Considering I just got good ends right off the bat, I never knew that.
I didn't, because here I'm just thinking like, so nobody was part of your. It's like, care to strike a deal? Well, can you tell me the names of your friends? No. Can you tell me if Goro was on your team? Sure. Because I thought that was the thing I needed to do to prove that he's the traitor, but no. And then he just came in and shot me in the head. Also, you can't skip the endings, by the way. So that's like 7 minutes.
Yay.
That's like 7 to 8 minutes of text with a 3-minute song looping almost 3 times. And you can't skip it. Not fun. And that's when I looked up a guide, because I was like, okay, I'm not going through that again.